Hello, everyone. My name is Alessandro Di Mattia, Legal and Executive Officer at PrivacyRules. Welcome to this Privacy Espresso. Today, I'm going to speak with Luiza Sato from the Brazilian law firm TozziniFreire Advogados. And we are going to discuss about a recent news, that is the one related to the publication by the Brazilian DPA, the ANPD, about a regulation on the calculation and application of administrative sanctions in the data privacy sector, of course. And we're going to do so with Luiza, that is an expert in the sector, that will provide us an overview on how this regulation has been structured and which may be the effects of it. So without further delay, thanking you for being with us, Luiza. What is this resolution about?
Of course. Thank you, Alessandra, for having me. We have a saying here in Brazil that the year only starts after Carnival, and the data protection year has definitely started with this new rule. It was something that we have been expecting for a long, long time. Sanctions have already been listed in the LGPD, our data protection law, but they had never been applied before because our data protection authority, the ANPD, did not yet have the proper grounds to do so. So this regulation came just in time, and it aims to describe the standards, the criteria for the application of administrative sanctions by the ANPD, the authority, as well as to define the methods to calculate the fines. So as I told you, this was the only missing step for ANPD to start imposing those sanctions. And just as a very quick overview, to define the sanctions to be imposed, that could be either a warning, a fine, suspension of data processing activities, and others. The violations will be classified in light, medium, or severe, and the resolution brings 11 criteria for such classification, such as the damage caused, economic condition of the offender, advantage gained, offender's good faith, and measures taken to minimize the risks. And as to the fine, because this is something that everybody asks me, the value would be 2%. This was already covered in the LGPD, 2% of the turnover of the company or its economic group in Brazil, limited to 50 million Brazilian reais, our currency. That would be today approximately $9.5 million. This is per infraction, for each infraction.
Okay, so quite impressive and very interesting. Thank you for this brief introduction. And I understand, of course, that the authority also has various other instruments other than just sanctions, but of course now also has the capabilities to actively react in case of violations of the regulation. So probably this should be an additional push for companies to be sure to comply and act in prevention, to be sure that everything is in place. In that regard, in order also to provide to our audience with an idea of which are the times, if they are not perfectly compliant yet, when do you expect that the authority will start imposing such penalties, and what do you expect the first case may be about? So in terms of which are the main issues that you have there in Brazil?
Okay, perfect. So I believe this will not take too long. ANPD, our DPA, had a live yesterday, and they said that they have already 8 cases ready to be ruled. So we should expect the first ruling should be within this first semester, so pretty quick, right? It's important to notice that those sanctions will apply even to infractions occurred before this rule, right? So companies, they should have already been worried about this time. And those cases that they mentioned, they are protected by investigation secrecy. So we do not know the processing agents, but we strongly believe that all the 8 cases refer to data breaches. This is because the ANPD already said that they will begin with the data breaches that have been notified to them, instead of controlling and searching around for whatever violation there could be. So those would be the first cases, we believe. But there are also ways for data subjects to send a complaint to the ANPD. So we consider also that there could be cases of complaints related to companies not being able to comply with the data subject's right.
Okay, and that sounds something familiar also with GDPR and the EU regulation. It's one of the main way in which companies get fined is because a data subject is not happy on how a company is dealing with data. So that's something always to keep in mind, other than data breaches, that is always one of the main topics that everyone normally keeps in mind. And speaking about this and the international capabilities of this regulation, let's speak about foreign companies. And let's make this reminder. So when should foreign companies comply with the regulation, and which are the times for them to do so? And so when will they be possibly cut up by the ANPD and the Brazilian regulation?
Good. I think this is a great question, because I think our audience is composed by people all around the world. So they could be asking right now, why should I care about this matter? Because the LGPD may apply to your company. So just as a reminder, the LGPD will apply in 3 cases. This is when the processing operation occurs in Brazilian territory, and or the purpose of the processing operation is offering goods and services to individuals located in the Brazilian territory. This is very similar to the GDPR. And also the final case is when the personal data being processed have been collected in the Brazilian territory. So in any of those situations, the LGPD will apply, and therefore any violation of the LGPD may be a cause for the imposing of penalties by our DPA. So when should the company start getting ready? I think it's around 2018 up to 2020, so a long time ago. But I always say that the best time to start something is now. So if your company has a business related to Brazil, it is important for companies to verify all the data processing activities that occur involving Brazil, so they could fix anything, before the company actually regrets doing anything outside what the LGPD covers. So we should not be afraid of those ANPD penalties.
Wonderful, Luiza. Thanks a lot for this advice that, of course, it's very useful, and to one more time underline that companies all over the world should care about regulations other than the one of their main offices, because many other regulations are capable of reaching companies worldwide. LGPD is one of them, but there are also many others that are coming out. So let's keep an eye at the international level on what's happening. PrivacyRules is happy to support in this regard. So thanks a lot, Luiza, for providing us with this brief and quick overview, extremely useful. Thanks to our audience for being with us also today. We are running out of our time. So thanks a lot, and looking forward to meeting you all for our next Privacy Espresso. So bye, Luiza, again, and bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. My pleasure.